Hi, I'm Mr. Linden, and welcome back to my three-part series of how I personally make a mix. We've already gone through part one, which is selecting tracks, and this one is going to be part two, wherein I'm going to actually be mixing and recording the mix. Partway through this recording, I decided I was going to switch the audio from the record out to the headphone out. That way you would be able to hear exactly what the DJ hears when they are mixing. And this illustrates how sometimes you aren't really sure how the mix itself is going to come out until you've already recorded and listened to it, because you're too busy listening to other tracks and figuring out the next steps, or maybe whether or not a loop is going to work, or all these, your mind is going in all these other directions rather than just concentrating on what the actual thing sounds like. Also, after I had finished and I was reviewing it, I realized that I wasn't quite being informative enough as to what it was that I was doing, why I was doing things. And when I did talk, a lot of times it may have been truncated thoughts or I didn't follow through, or I didn't really elaborate what I was talking about. So I actually went through and did a voiceover, sort of annotating the video, kind of like a commentary track. And so hopefully this is a nice long mix, a nice long process that is going to at least be informative and let you know what's going on. So let's not waste any more time and let's get to it. What's up, everyone? My name is Mr. Linden, and this is like part two, I guess, of my sort of how I prep and how I mix series. And what I'm going to do today is record a mix for CD 9.5, which interview that I did with them just aired. And now I'm going to put this together, and you'll be able to, I guess, watch, although you can't really see much with the camera, but I'm also going to try to try to talk through it as to why I'm doing things. And then I'm also going to show you how I post edit as well. So let's get going. First, I have this going through my computer. Normally I would record with my computer, but to get the audio or to get the vocals and stuff, I have it going through to the computer, and I'm actually recording onto a recorder here, and that will be the raw audio file that I use. So let's get going. Always pro tip number one, make sure you hit the button twice. So my plan is to mix in some X-Files stuff at the beginning and at the end, and I'll be doing that in post. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with my first track. Now, most of these tracks I picked from promos and newer songs. Hi, this is video editor Jeremy, and I'm going to be doing a voiceover here because upon reviewing this, I realized that I just wasn't giving enough description and giving you enough information as to what was going on. Oftentimes I will pre-plan like my cue points to just so that I know what's going on as far as when the next song should come in. I didn't really do that much, so I'm just gonna kind of be winging it, and hopefully it'll come out okay. Actually, I just had a good idea. I should totally see, like right there is a really good example. I just kind of faded off with my thought. So what I'm about to do is make the audio come out of my headphone jack. That way you can hear me cueing and all the warts that you hear when you're actually DJing. I'm gonna do something different. And I think I'm probably gonna re-explain that here in a second. While I stand there like a T-Rex. All right, I'm trying something a little bit different this time. So I've reconfigured it to go into my headphones So the audio that you're hearing is what I'm hearing. So you're going to hear all the cueing and all the fun stuff. So it should be interesting. Here we go. I've seen with a lot of how to DJ videos, they show you how to cue and stuff, but I've never actually seen you get this actual audio. So I hardly ever use sync. Sometimes I'll do it with studio mixes, but generally I do not, because you just can't trust it. The reason why I brought that up was because you can hear how it's not synced when you can hear this the cue from the headphones. If it was synced, it would you would push the button and it would match perfectly every time. I like to use effects as punctuation. You don't want to overdo it when it comes to effects. And by that I mean I oftentimes will just sort of ramp the effect up at the end of a phrase. That way it sort of punctuates it. It gives you a little bit more contrast between the regular song and like the end of a phrase. Okay, so right now I have a loop going. I like to tease in incoming track, sometimes a little early. So right now it's in, I have the filter turned up, so it's only kind of the high pitched stuff, and I have it turned down quite a bit too, so. Talk about the loop there. The loop is, the low end is filtered out, so it doesn't add a extra kick sound to the breakdown where there's less kick. And then also the volume goes down a bit so that it's not like super obvious. And here I turn it up. And then get out of the loop. Then by using the effects, I essentially mimicked the snare roll that was happening and then stopped the effect at the drop and pulled out a loop. Here's an interesting thing that happens, and I didn't really explain it very well, but right now you see me making adjustments to track 3 when I meant to be making adjustments on track 4. Track 3 is what my turntable is on, and so I'm EQing track 3 even though there's nothing playing, like a dipshit. And I'm all confused as to why I don't hear it. Now, that whole time, this is classic. I was using channel 3 instead of 4. 3 is what my turntable is on, 4 is what this is on. And so I was sitting here being like, well, how come I can't hear these effects? Basically exactly what I was saying in my interview about people not figuring out what was going on. So right here, I hear that the incoming melody sounds really good. And so I want it to drop right on the first beat of the drop. And so I loop it, adjust it to make sure it's good. But it's not turned up right now. But then I'll turn up the volume right there on the drop. That way, when you hear the mix, you'll hear that melody come in kind of immediately.
Bottle up, so ready tomorrow. Sipping on champagne, that's my tequila blanco. Everybody here is feeling like a supermodel. Like a supermodel. I'll be a bottle up, so ready tomorrow. Sipping on
So not gonna lie, it's a little distracting trying to talk and stuff doing this and like explain how I'm thinking, because I have to slow down my thought process and then be like, oh, what's going on? And that is why I'm doing this, so that I can supplement the information. So I'll mention it here in a second, but what I'm doing here basically is skipping forward into the track to hear what's coming up. Just doing a little preview to make sure I knew what was coming up. So this incoming track has kind of like a two-step beat, so I could probably loop it a little bit just to give it some extra different percussion as the outgoing one. A lot of times it helps if there are elements that aren't completely matched in order to take up some of the space that the outgoing track has in it. Because as they remove elements, it makes room for new elements of the incoming track.
I'll be a bottle up, so ready tomorrow. Sipping on champagne, that's my tequila blanco. Everybody here is feeling like a supermodel. Like a supermodel. I'll be a bottle up, so.
Okay, now that's a good example of I didn't like what I just did, so I'm just gonna stop it here, and then just all I have to do is go back to before I did the little fuck up there, and then just keep going. And going back and fixing this is the first thing I do in the next video, just to show how in a studio mix it's very easy to edit out mistakes and just redo transitions.
I'll be a bottle up, so ready tomorrow. Sipping on champagne, that's my tequila blanco. Everybody here is feeling like a supermodel. Like a supermodel. I'll be a bottle up, so ready tomorrow. Sipping on champagne.
And right there you saw I sort of slowly brought in the volume, but then I popped it up right at the beginning of the new phrase. And you could see me working through here, not liking it. Nope, still didn't like that because the timing was off. This is the reason why it's good to do why it's good to do in and outs just to line shit up properly. So let's try take 3. So if I really want to do a good prep, what I'll do is I'll go through, get the order right, actually do the in and out cue points that are specific to the mix. So I would have tested this on my computer first, know where to bring the track in, where they line up. That way I don't have to go through this process. And it's also pretty, like, if you want a specific playlist during a live session, like when you're playing at the club, sometimes it's a really good idea to go through and prepare the mixes in order to not have the mess ups while you're live. But that all depends on what kind of mixing you're doing. There we go. I find that I do that far less now, but oftentimes like this, where it might be something that just isn't obvious the way that it's going to line up, it might be a little tricky to get the phrasing right. And phrasing is one of the most important things when it comes to DJ mixes, in my opinion, because it just makes things sound better, like sound more intentional. Usually I can just look at the waveforms and not have to worry about preparing, because I can see how it's going to work out. And it's just that I think this was the only mix during this that I was like, no, I got to redo it because of that.
Just dance, move your body.
Yeah, that's funky. Okay, so this should be interesting because this is like a 2-step sort of UKG vibe. And this is like bassy jacking. So definitely don't want those low ends to clash. Damn. Okay. All right. So I have an idea. It took me a second to figure out what my idea was, but now I see that I saw in the upcoming waveform parts where the bass would get dropped out. And so I was teasing the kick drum of the incoming track in the quiet parts of the outgoing track. That was my amazing, great idea. Now I switched the echo to I think it's a 3/4 beat, because that oftentimes works really well with the non-4/4 tracks. Like this is a 2-step kind of UK thing on the outgoing one, and that works pretty well with the 3/4 echo. I'm also going to explain here in a second, but I kind of explain it as though you could see and tell what's going on. But I'm going to set a loop, but the loop isn't like the final beats. It's actually a little bit before the end, and I'll explain why I did that. So you can see right there the center of the platter changed. That means that there's a loop set. It's an 8-beat loop. And there I pulled it out of the loop. All right, with that loop, I set the loop because the outro 8 beats was just percussion, and it probably had a little bit of a ramp up or something. So I looped it until there was 8 beats left before the drop. And as I was looping it, I was pulling up the 3/4 beat echo, and then I just let the volume go out, because the beat echo will fade out right after the drop. So it just is a smooth way to let a song go out. So eagle-eyed viewers will notice that my volume slider for channel 1 is up still. Something I didn't notice. This is one of the problems with mixing in your headphones, is that you're so used to hearing different tracks at once that you may not notice that the master can also hear that. So right now the master is recording all of this previewing, and that comes back to bite me in the butt, especially after crowing about how easy it's going to be here in a second. It's not going to be anything fancy with this one. I'm just going to bring it in at the drop, and these two will... It should just work. Just in real time. And figure out what was going on. And just be like, well... Oh, crap. Classic. All right, well, now I don't know. See, this is the tough thing about doing it this way. What I mean by this way is recording it with a recorder that doesn't really give you a visualization, as opposed to recording on the computer where you can see a waveform and possibly see, make sure that the mess up that you thought happened actually happened by looking for blank sections in the waveform or whatnot. Go back, and just in case that's in there. Ugh, I hate it when this shit happens, but this is what recording is all about, I suppose I should say. That was just a little pause so I can see it in the recording. It'll make sense when you see me do my final process. And this is why you'll see me obsessively hold down and hold up the sliders. It's just because shit like that happens. Okay, so like I was saying, there should be pretty smooth transition between the two. It's looking like the first drop on this one happens right around a minute 45. And it's looking like it's going to be about a minute 45 left on the track once after the drop. But the outro doesn't have any bass, so this is stuff that you can't see. Sorry, my camera can't get everything the way I have it set up right now. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to take a look and decide not to start the incoming track when I thought I would, because a lot of times after the drop, there's a few bars of like, sort of like a teaser almost. Yeah, so right there I reset it. I changed my mind. I waited a couple bars. Little pro tip / trick when it comes to mixing in. A lot of tracks will have a crash at the beginning of a phrase, and a majority of the time, starting your track on the crash is going to be the right time to start. Not all the time, and you don't. None of these are rules. Like, you don't want to restrict yourself, but when it comes to just standard mixing, most of the times the crashes are the way to go. See, now I'm glad I did, because that Blaze It Up part coincided with the bass drop, so it was nice. And then I did the same thing there. Did the same thing there where I echoed out, but using the halftime, and then it just kind of is a nice fade that you could really hear in that breakdown portion. So there I was referencing, just in case it wasn't clear, when I said the same thing there, I was talking about the 3/4 echo I did a couple of tracks before. A lot of times my thought process, unfortunately, continues for a length of time, and then I call it back thinking that everyone's on the same page as I am, which is not exactly the way to communicate. Those effects are the track. It's not me.
Ven aquí, solo quiero verte rebotando.
It's important to remember to exit the loop after the bar that you want to exit out of comes on. It's that's kind of in the weeds, but like you'll be off by one bar if you don't do it right. So I want to explain this. This is one of the main things that was bugging me, is that I didn't really explain this very well. If you're looping and you want to loop it 4 times, right? A lot of times I've seen people exit the loop on the 4th loop, but that's exiting 1 bar too early. You want to exit your loop after the 5th loop starts, because then the timing will be correct. So you loop it 4 times, and then the 5th one is the exit. This track is pretty legit. I dropped it the other night in the club. Went over well. Damn, I actually meant to play that one at the club too. Although, not gonna lie, it does remind me a little bit of a "Let Me See That Thong." When you're using an effect, especially something like echo, it's really important to EQ it out and not do the entire thing, because generally the bass lines will start to play funky together and stuff, so you just want to do the higher end, the mids. So right here I have this filter frequency, and so that helps keep it up in the high parts. What I was talking about is that knob that I had my hand on. It is a frequency sweep knob, so that right now you can see it's right around 1 or 2 o'clock. That means it's only affecting it's only going to be echoing or doing whatever the effect is for the frequencies above, the halfway point. That way, like I said, the bass lines tend to be a little bit less transient than all of the percussion. And so when you have something that is more of a solid sound and you're echoing it, it's going to add on to itself. So I'm trying to figure out how to say this in verbally without showing it, but like those harsh clicks are going to sound better echoing out than a wub. If you have a bass going whoop whoop and then you're echoing it on a 4/4 like quick time, it's going to be like whoop 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 whoop. If that makes any sense whatsoever. You know what song they want to hear? They want to hear "We Go Deep and Then We Get." See, that's the song they get to hear. Not really much to say with that one. It's just pretty straightforward. So I'm probably going to cut out some of this stuff, and just because it would be really kind of long and boring. You don't want to hear not the mix, but so yeah, I'm just going to keep going here, and I'm only about halfway through, so got a little ways to go.
I am the truth, I am the one who got the means, who got the tools. I am the one, I am the God.
Ooh-wee.
I want you one more time.
Okay, now we're getting into the tech housey sort of. It's not the most difficult stuff to mix, but watch I say that and I'll fuck it up for like 3 times again. This is why this is important to sort of preview your tracks, because like the grid isn't perfect. So if I lined it up perfectly, it wouldn't sound right. So now I know. If I was using sync, then the tracks wouldn't have lined up properly. And the Denons let you fix the grid on the fly, just like the CDJs, but I'm not quite, I don't feel like I need to do that. I think sometimes it's good to push yourself and not to the point where like you pull a Grimes, but like keeping yourself on your toes, making it so that you have to listen and make adjustments will make you be able to handle it better when things like Grimes do happen. And for those of you who don't know, Grimes had a big meltdown because of her tracks not being prepped right or something, and she just wasn't able to play. I don't really want to talk about it. I don't really care that much about it. But it was huge for like a week. What I'm doing now is trying to find another song to play. I'm going to be playing my last track's going to be off of this vinyl down here. So I just got to make sure I give me enough time to get ready. comes the fun part. Suppose I could have done this earlier. I'm bummed that I pulled that volume down before the fade was gone. I didn't realize that it was on the outgoing track, and so I cut off the fade, and it's just really minor things like that bug the crap out of me. But not enough to go back and fix it like by re-recording that little bit. Bang, bang.
I hit the ground. Bang, bang. That awful sound. Bang, bang. My baby shot me.
I hope you've enjoyed this. I can't say that I've ever really seen a video of a DJ playing and letting you hear like literally what's in their ears. So, I mean, people are like, "Oh, here's how you DJ here," but they don't necessarily give you this. So, this drop right here would have been where I wanted to bring the record in. But I missed it. So what you do is in your head, you're counting all the time. So you basically just count another 32 beats and then drop it then. This incoming record has a skittering kind of a beat that almost sounds like it's off grid. And so you can see me kind of trying to figure out what's going on, but it's just the way that it sounds. That happens kind of frequently. So I hope that this has helped you in some way. It's not your usual type of DJ video just because it's kind of long and it has a lot of not mistakes, but like the process. It's never a clean process, and you never get just what you hear out of the masters. So I hope that this helped, and I hope maybe you picked up some tips and tricks. If you think of anything that like anything that you have to share as far as tips and tricks, just let me know in the comment, and also let me know if you enjoyed it. And please like and subscribe, as the whole song and dance goes. And stay tuned for episode 3 here. Damn, I didn't put my cat butt weight on it. Cat butt weight definitely makes it sound better. So I'm just fading it out here because I've gone way over and I know that I'm going to edit it out. So I'll probably just end up teasing the X-Files theme like song sound and then moving into the outro that I have planned, which is some of the dialogue from the X-Files. And then to see how I do that and to see what happens to this mix after I've recorded, you just turn it into part 3 of how I made a mix for CD9.5. Seattle's home of dance.